Hey guys, this is Macomber Brass here. Welcome to the Commute, episode 4. Today I'm talking about my drum corps experience and what it's like being a member of an all-age drum corps, and how I think that translates to me being a great teacher. Because I won't sugarcoat it, I won't back down for anybody and say that I'm not a great teacher, because I am. I used to be a little bit more humble about that, but I really think that I am a great teacher, and that the groups that I do work for do extremely well once I start working with them. So yeah, there's that. But to talk about drum corps, I'm on my way back from the February camp for Atlanta CV. I'm a contracted member, lead mellophone for the 5th season. 6th contract signed, RIP 2020, but my 5th full season this year. It's my gold star. If you know anything about CV, we have a big star on our corps jackets that has a C on it, kind of like Vanguard with their V star. And 5 years means you get a gold one. It's a silver star until that 5th year, and then it becomes gold. And I'm thinking, unless something crazy happens and I just keep wanting to march, which doesn't sound too bad, but at the same time I also have to use my knees for other things. This is more than likely going to be my last season on the ground as a member, because I plan on going into teaching drum corps after that. But being a member of an all-age drum corps, and only being a member of an all-age drum corps my entire time, gives me, I think, an interesting perspective on how the activity works and the amount of responsibility that we are required to have in a group that only rehearses on the weekends. Now, I want to get this out of the way before anything else. This is something that kind of irks me a bit about the way the world sees all-age drum corps, is that it's like less than. The reality is it's drum corps on the weekends. It's still drum corps on a shorter schedule. And I think in that way makes it harder than marching a group that tours consistently and is together for 80 days over the summer. I'm not saying that anyone is significantly just like far and away harder than the other. There are aspects of tour life that I'm sure are harder. Being away from school, family, work, the entire summer, only doing that one thing is hard. Spring training, 30 days of 12-hour days, just out there putting a show together. That's hard. But I think what is the unique challenge of all age is that we have a total, from this point in the season on, we have a total of 14 Saturdays left until we go to Lucas Oil for finals. That's all we have. So double that, because we have Sundays as well. We have 28 days of rehearsal to put this show on the field and make it clean. And our staff expects world-class level cleanliness. Which is fair, because the ability level of the horn line and the talent that we have is extremely high. And we should be that clean. And we will be that clean. But I just think that's an interesting thing that people kind of overlook. And now in relation to what that's like as a teacher, I think it makes me a very effective and efficient teacher, because I learned how to process information, make changes, and save the changes in 2 reps. And I had to keep it that way from then on. There was no wiggle room due to our rehearsal schedule. So when I go into teaching, especially when I'm teaching high school groups, because there's even less time on the field to put a show together. I give very concise information every single rep, and I think what that does for my students anyways is I think it in a way forces them to do that too, because the information that I give the next rep builds on the information from the previous rep, and that's how I go about teaching, and how I manage my expectations. And I think that unique skill of concise information, scaffolded, just continually building upon what I've already taught, it's not a rare concept, but it is a rare skill as far as I've seen. Now, I'm still pretty wide-eyed and don't know a lot of people yet. But from what I know and from what work I have done as a music educator, I don't know a lot of people who do that quite as well as me and the people that I work with. Or me and the people that have taught me. And those things are also life skills. You know, we teach life skills through music too. And it's all about It's all about the development of the performer as a performer and as a human being. And it's a really cool balance between the two. this year, with 2 high school groups on my docket, it's going to be very interesting managing expectations for 2 groups and for all of that, I hope I don't get people jumbled up. I'm going to have a lot of kids to know the names of and all that. But anyways, back to drum corps. I did drum corps because I wanted to be a better teacher. That was my first reason for doing it. It was a purely professional development related reason. That reason changed because eventually I grew to love the activity itself of just being in a horn line. And I grew to appreciate the moments like that because you only get so many of those, and doing drum corps is one of the greatest things anybody can do. It doesn't matter what circuit, like what class you march in, if it's all age, if it's open class, if it's world class, if it's sound sport. Or if you don't do drum corps, you do WGI winds, percussion, guard. Or you do college marching band. Or you just do high school marching band. Whatever ensemble you're a part of is, in a way, it becomes a second family. A place where people, no matter how different they are, get together and work really freaking hard to create a product that is worth watching and worth performing. That's my little philosophical spiel on drum corps. But I love it because of how intense it can get. I love it because high, fast, and loud. I might be a professional musician, I might be a teacher, but man, I love just being out there holding a mellophone and letting it rip. It is one of the most fulfilling, satisfying, whatever words you want to use there, things for me is doing that and doing that at a high level. And as a teacher, I just want my students to do the same. I want them to do it at a high level. I want them to march drum corps too. I want them to keep doing music when they go to college or out into their regular working life. I want them to be in community bands. I want them to do drum corps on the weekends like I do. I want them to do college marching band. I want them to do whatever they want to do with music. And that, I think, is the mark of a great teacher. And something that I aspire to continue to do at an even greater scale. And I think this last season for me of CV, before I go off into teaching, is going to be a big part of why so many students do that. Well, I'm really excited for the CV season. The book's great. I don't know anything about the show. Can't tell you anyways. And yeah, I'm just excited for the world to see what the groups that I'm a part of do. And that's why I made this channel, and that's why I made my other social media pages, is because that is ultimately what I want people to see, is my work. And I want to meet people through it and everything like that. I did a whole video on that already, but it's important to remember your purpose when you're starting something like this. But yeah, that was pretty cool. I'll catch you guys later this week on my drive back from a school. I don't know which one yet. And yeah, stay tuned for episode 5. Thanks for watching, guys.